Hello there, crafty friends. I am back with our instructions for making our month 5 for 12 months of Wholeness Through Creativity project, which is our mini purse and mini journal. And we are going to get started right in on making these. I've chosen my papers. If you have not looked through the supply list and gotten your papers and supplies ready yet, go back to the previous blog post and video and get those all put together. I've decided I'm going to do the satchel purse out of this fun little paisley here that has a green kind of a tweed stripe on the back side of that. And I'm going to do my traditional purse out of these fun little flowers with a gingham for the coordinating paper. So we're going to get started first with the satchel style bag and make that out of our paisley paper here. This is a newer style that I've come up with. I've made the rectangular traditional bags for a long time and many of those, but I really like this cute little satchel style that I came up with, and so we're going to get started with that one and just show you how easy this is to do. Now, because this paper comes with a border on the top, we could even use that, but we don't need it for the card part of it, so we're going to cut that off here so that we have our 6x6 square to work with. So we'll save that and see if we use it later. So we have our 6x6 square, and like I said, this one is going to use the envelope punch board. So we are going to start at 1 1/8, and we are, get my Bolton folder out here, our scoring tool. We are going to punch and score at the 1 1/8 mark. Then we're going to slide it over to 3 inches, and we are just going to punch and not score at this one. Then we're going to slide it over to the 4 7/8, and we are going to punch and score at that one. Then we are going to rotate our paper counterclockwise, and we are going to line up again at 1 1/8, and you'll notice that that actually lines up your previous score line right with the little pointer there and along your edges along the score line there. So at this 1 1/8, we are going to punch only. We are not going to score on this second side. Then we're going to move to our 3 again, and we are going to punch and score. Then we are going to move to our 4 7/8, and we are going to punch and score. So notice we're using the same measurements on each side, but on sides 1 and 3, we are going to punch and score at the 1 1/8 and just punch at the 3 inch. On sides 2 and 4, we are going to only punch at the 1 1/8, and we're going to punch and score on the 3 inches. So we've done sides 1 and sides 2. So on to side 3, and like I said, that's going to be the same as side 1. So 1 1/8, punch and score, 3 inches, punch only, 4 7/8, punch and score. And around to our 4th side, we have our 1 1/8, punch only, 3 inches, punch and score, And as you notice when you're doing this, this is also, your cut there is also lining up with your score line here. So like I said, you don't even have to look so much at those measurements after the first time. If your lighting is good, you can just line your little pointer there up with your previous score lines for most of them. Since we didn't score all of them, it's not going to work for every one of them, but most. Okay, and our last one, our 4 7/8 punch-in score. And we are done with our envelope punch board and our basic purse. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold all the corners out. I need to get rid of my padding here so I have my hard surface to work on. So, each of our corners we're going to fold to the outside and burnish them down nice and flat. And make sure that they're folded over straight and that your arrow points straight down. You might have to adjust a little bit from what your score line is there. And all 4 corners folded to the outside, then flip it over, and all your other score lines are going to be folded to the inside. So we've got 2 going that way and 2 narrower ones going the other direction. And we have our basics done. Okay, now we need our scissors, and we're going to hold that wide part on the top and the bottom there, and we are going to cut just to that first score line right along this edge. And along the score there, you want to go so that the score itself is toward this small little tab here. So you're cutting just on the very right edge of that score line. And like I said, you're cutting just up to that other score line. And this is going to make our purse shape and our tabs that hold it together. So do both tabs on this side, turn it around, and do both tabs on this side. And you want to keep this as straight as possible because this is forming the side edges of your purse. Okay, the next thing we need to do is put our adhesive on all of these little tabs. All 4 tabs, the adhesive can go. On the complete tab, you definitely want to get right up to this fold line without going over it, because that is what's going to hold your purse together. So whichever type of adhesive you decided to use, like I've told you before, I like my tape gun most when it works. I'm just going to kind of put a little triangle of tape on each of these sections. I'm going to go ahead and put my little tabs down while my purse is flat so I can hear them good. Again, you could put a dot of glue behind them. You could put a little bit of the tape runner behind them. What I like to do behind mine is just use a little glue dot. These are thin. These ones are the minis, but that way you've got a little tiny bit of dimension there, and again, I just think it's a little nice touch to add to it and is super easy to do. To put glue dots on, you just press one side onto the glue dot on the paper. That will adhere it. Then when you pull it off, it'll come off of the release paper and push it down. So we'll put glue dots on each of those tabs to hold them down. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see the glue dots on the release paper, so gotta kind of wiggle it around in the light a bit. Alrighty, so now we start forming our purse. You're gonna fold the tabs in, you're gonna fold your side over, and you wanna line that cut edge right up with that fold edge, nice and straight, and then press down all over. Do that on each of your 4 sides. Lining each one up carefully. And next, I like to kind of round this a little bit. I maybe should have done that before I glued, but just taking your bone folder or even your fingers and just kind of working those fibers of the paper a little bit to loosen them, to kind of line, kind of give your purse some shape, to round that a bit, kind of like you do with curling ribbons. And so just kind of round those up a little bit there. And then next we're going to take our Velcro dot and I'm going to cut both sides in half. And we're going to hook them together, trying to line them up best as we can. And then take that off, and we're going to adhere that right to the top edge of our little closure here. So I've put both parts are together there. I've put it on the inside. Then I'm going to line the purse itself up on the top there. And once I've got it lined up well, I am going to push those 2 parts of the Velcro together good and strong, and then I can open it, and I will have one side of the Velcro on each side of my purse, and they'll be lined up really well. And then to close it, I just need to push those 2 pieces of Velcro together. If it leaves your purse nice and rounded, that's great. If it would happen to buckle in, just put your finger in and it'll pop back up. That's where having used the bone folder and worked those fibers a little bit, it helps. Now, your purse is basically done. As you can see with this one, I did add the little embellishments onto each of the little tabs. I will probably do that on this one. I haven't decided which embellishments to put on here yet. I also haven't decided what to put on the front or what type of handle I want to put. So I will think about those things for a few minutes, and I will be right back and show you what I decided to do to finish this purse off. But there we have a nice little satchel bag that will hold a mini journal and some other goodies inside of it. Hey crafty friends, I am back, and I lost all the footage for finishing off my satchel purse and for making my traditional purse. So we are going for take 3 here. So I'll tell you first what I did to finish my satchel purse. I stamped with Versamark ink, which is a sticky clear ink, and put gold embossing powder on there and heat set that. Go back to a previous month. I don't remember which one it was in, but we've already covered how to do that. Because I wanted this to be stuck down well all over, I put it through my Xyron sticker maker to coat the entire back of it with adhesive and turn it into a sticker and put that on there. I decided to use purple gems to pull out the purple, and those are adhesive backed already. They already have little glue dot spots on them. So I used a couple medium-sized ones on the sides and a couple larger ones on the front and the back. I attached the handle. As you can see, the handle is the matching paper. To do that, I could not, as I told you, the paper's only 6 inches. You need about 7.5 inches to do this handle this way. So I just took my 6-inch paper and I cut it diagonally, corner to corner, and then cut it 3/8 of an inch wide. So got lots of leftover of this paper, but I did want this handle to match. And then to put it on, I just put a glue dot on the inside of each end and put it down inside the purse and pushed it in, making sure that it was centered on each side. So our little satchel bag is totally done. And then for our traditional purse, I got it finished, but I will show you how I did that by making another one. So starting with our 6-inch paper, this time we don't have the punch board or anything we've got to do with that. We're just going to use the scoreboard. But for this one, I told you before that I had put strips of paper along the top for a little decoration on both of those, that I'd used the washi tape on this one. But what I decided on this one was, because we've had that border on the top that we were cutting off for our other purse, I decided I liked that with that pattern, and I was going to go ahead and just leave that on for my top decoration and not worry about the back at all. So for this one, you're going to put your 6-inch square into your scoreboard, and you're going to score it 1 1/4 inches and 4 3/4 inches. Then you're going to turn it and you're going to score it 2.5 inches and 3.5 inches. Then you're going to fold all those folds in, burnish them very well to get them nice and flat on all 4 sides. And then you're going to do what you see I've already done here. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut up to those score lines with your wide part facing you. And you're going to cut up. And obviously these tabs are bigger than the tabs were in our satchel purse, but they serve the same function. They're going to make the structure of our purse by folding in. So that is all you do for the purse itself. The next thing I did here, because I'm going to put the handles on with the brads like I did this one, I just pinched my top edges together, making sure they were lined up well. I brought in my little 1/8 inch hole punch. I lined it up, centering it on my little border edge there and bringing it over about 3/8 of an inch from the side and punch through both layers. Did the same thing on the other end. Doing it that way, my front and my back holes are in perfect alignment with each other. Then I prepared my other pieces. We have our handles. Those are 6 inches by 3/8 of an inch. So you need to cut those off of the complete width of your second piece of paper. I didn't like the back of this with a wood grain. I decided that's not really what I wanted for the look of my purse. So I'm going to go with the little yellow gingham again. So 3/8 of an inch by 6 inches. Again, I lined the two up together and about 3/8 of an inch from the bottom, centered in the handle, and punched the holes for both ends of them. Like I did with the other handle, I just worked breaking down those paper fibers so I could get a nice curve for my handle. I also punched out of the gingham paper with the paper labeled punch. I punched out my closure and I scored it in half and folded it and burnished it well. And then I have picked out 4 little matching brads, again like the ones there, only I'm going with the yellow flower brads to attach my handle. So let's put this purse together and we will be done. Everything out of the way. Okay, just like before, you're going to be putting your adhesive right up next to that fold line there, and then just put it along all your other sides. And you're going to do that with all 4 of your tabs. Obviously, these tabs are a lot longer than your other ones. They are going to overlap each other in the back of your, or inside of your bag. And I think I am out of tape. So I'm going to just, rather than take the time to refill that, I am just going to use double-sided adhesive for this to finish off these last couple here. Be sure if any of your tape goes over the edges that you fold it back in so you don't have any stickiness inside your purse. And like I said, we'll do this 4th side here with this adhesive. The type of adhesive you use doesn't really matter. Whatever you enjoy doing, this isn't going to have a whole lot of stress put on these sides, so that's why the ATG or tape runner works just fine. But if you prefer using liquid glue, that is fine. Also, I just don't, because I don't like it oozing out onto things. So our 4th side here, just about done. Remove the backing adhesive, or the backing to the adhesive off here, and we are ready to put this together. Now fold in each side and again line up to get it nice and straight along the edge there. If any of your adhesive sticks over, what you can do is use an adhesive eraser. Then it's just a rubbery type eraser that can take that off the edge, or sometimes even just your fingers rolling along there can get that extra adhesive off. So I've got just a little bit on that edge there. Okay, next thing you want to do is put your finger right in the center of your side pieces and pinch in and bring those together and pinch that down so that you're forming a little triangle there, just to help form the sides of your purse so it's not just a box but actually folds in to be your purse. Line your tops up and again just pinch that in on both sides. Okay. Next we can put our little closure on. We want to put adhesive on that back side, again making sure we're up close to the fold there. And also we want to get close to the bottom edge so it doesn't come loose. That I don't normally use this. I like using my ATG gun just because it's faster on this and I don't have to remove the backing. But this will work. Now for putting this on, obviously we want to stick it to the back side of the purse, but it's going to come around to the front side where it's going to close. So what I like to do is line up the front side and get it centered. You could measure if you want or just eyeball it, but line that up where I want it. Line my top edges together, then fold the back over and then push it on, and that way I've got it nice and straight and even on the back if I folded it straight and pushed it on straight. So you've got your closure on. Next you're going to take your little Velcro. Again, we're going to do that just exactly like we did for the other one. I've got a blue part there. I need a hard part here. Again, I'm cutting these 1/2 inch size ones in half. I'm gonna line this up with my other half here and put the two halves together. And then I'm going to put that on my, see which way I want to do this, on the end of my closure here, right in the center. Making sure none of it's sticking up over. And then line my top edges up, fold this over again, make sure it's right where I want it, and push them together nice and tight, and then open it up, and I've got 1/2 on each part. Okay, the next step is to put the handle on. As you notice in the first one, I put the brads through the handle before the purse, so the ends of the handle are on the outside of the purse. On this one, I chose to put the ends of the handles on the inside of the purse. So just work with it, see which you like better. For this one, I'm going to like them on the inside better. So put your brad through the purse, through the handle holes, and then open the little prongs on the back. And turn that. I like to turn them sideways so that they're going across the back there. Now you want to push this fairly tight so that it doesn't wobble too much, but you need to not push it so tight that it doesn't move at all, because obviously your handle needs to move a bit. Flip it around to the other side. Put your next brad through the purse, through the handle. Open the prongs on the back. Flatten them open. Last ones on the back. And flatten it open through the purse, through the handle, open the brad, and flatten it open. And there we have another one of our little purses. So, not sure yet what I want to put on the front of this one. I normally don't determine my decorations till after I'm done making things, and then I just kind of go through my stash of what I've got and try different things. There's something I had pulled out that might look cute on these, this little flowers. In fact, I may just try that right now and see if that is something that, yep, I think that would look cute right there. And so to put that on, I am going to use one of the glue dots again. Glue dots work really well for sticking little embellishments like this on, because this is a thicker embellishment. If this is in your purse and jostled around a lot, it might get knocked off and you might have to put it on. Your liquid glue might be a good way to keep that adhered on, but there's a possibility for that one there. So here we have not two, but three new little purses and satchels to go along with the ones that I had already made and had in my stash. I want to talk next about the little booklets that we put inside of them. As I said, this is exactly what we learned to do in January's class. And so you already saw on cutting your cover, and we cut that at 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. Next, you take 2 sheets of regular printer paper, copy paper, any type of writing paper you want to use, and you are going to cut them. If you've got an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I cut at 4.5 and 4.5, so that makes 9 inches. So you've got 2-inch strip at the top that you're not using. Then I take each of those 4.5-inch pieces, turn them sideways, and cut them at 3 1/4, the same height as this. Then you're going to fold each of those papers in half, and you want to do those one by one. Because it's a thin paper, you don't have to score it. You can just fold it, but you do want to burnish it nice and crisp edge using at least the edge of your fingernail, if not your bone folder. So you've got 2 pieces of paper, you got 4 little leaves from each one, so that gives you 8 sheets in there. So that's when you put them together. and fold them. That's going to give you 32 pages in your little notebook. Like we did in January, you're just going to stick your paper inside your folder. Make sure your creases are lined up well. You're going to use your pokey tool paper piercer, and you're going to make just 2-hole pamphlet. This isn't going to be a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, just a 2-hole pamphlet stitch. You're going to come in between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch from each end and poke completely through. You're going to need about 8 inches of your heavy duty thread that we use that's about like a carpet thread. This one's called a craft thread, but it's a nice, really thick thread with a big, thick needle with a large eye, and you're going to thread it through and tie it into your surgeon's knot if you want. Now you notice on both of mine today, I decided I didn't want the straight rectangle, but I wanted the rounded edges, so I just came in with my corner rounder. I rounded the edges of the booklet 2 edges at a time. For the papers, I put 2 of them together and with them folded, so that was 4 layers at a time, and just lining them up in my corner rounder and punching off the corners to give us a nice little rounded edges on our booklets today. Again, with our booklets, we could do the same type of things for decoration on them. We could put our little punched pieces or die cuts on them, little stickers. We could stamp a little saying on them, which is what I usually do, is I like to put something, just a little decoration on there. But obviously you don't have to. If this is just for yourself and this is just going to be a little notepad in your purse, you probably don't care how fancy it is because you're going to use it up pretty quickly. But making a lot of these and having them on hand, they can be cute little throw-ins that you use for yourself, or that you can give as gifts. Like I said, if you make these little purses and have them on hand, they can be cute little gifts on their own with just a piece of chocolate or something in it for a little inexpensive treat for a friend, or if you're wanting to do a birthday gift or a more significant gift for somebody, you could put, you know, lip balm, oil, gift card, something a little more substantial within these. So all of you go make your mini purses with mini journals. Be sure to post pictures of them on either our MeWe group or our Facebook group. I know I've only posted about the Facebook group before, but the MeWe group, I'm starting to add everything over there. The group's been there for quite a while, but I hadn't been adding these things to it. But I'm starting to add those more over at the MeWe, but I will keep the Facebook group going. You can read all about that in the blog post. But I want to see what you do, so be sure to share with me your projects when you get done with them. So, as always, go and be creative as you were created to do, and you have a great week.